In the quiet suburban neighborhood of Westfield, New Jersey, nestled among tree-lined streets and quaint homes, stands a house that has become infamous for a mystery that gripped the nation. This is the story of the Watcher House. In June 2014, Derek and Maria Broaddus had just purchased their dream home at 657 Boulevard, a beautiful six-bedroom house built in 1905 for $1.4 million. The couple was eager to move in with their three young children and begin their new life in this idyllic community. As they started renovations, a letter arrived in their mailbox that would shatter their sense of peace. The letter was addressed to the new owner and signed by someone known only as the Watcher. The writer claimed to be the latest in a line of watchers who had been watching the house for decades. The letter's tone was both eerie and menacing, stating that 657 Boulevard had been the subject of their family for generations, and that it was now the Broaddus family's turn to be watched. The letter began innocently. "Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood." It then veered into asking odd questions like, "How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its force within?" It then went on, "657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out. Who am I?" the letter continued. "There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I am in one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I am in one." The letter concluded by saying, "Welcome, my friends, welcome. Let the party begin," and signed his name, The Watcher. They knew specific information about the Broaddus children and even hinted at plans to bring them into the house's sinister history. In the first letter, the writer asked if the Broaddus family had brought the young blood he had requested. "Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it greed to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me," the letter said. Disturbed, Derek and Maria contacted the police, who took the letter seriously. However, there were no clear leads, and the identity of the Watcher remained a mystery. Days later, another letter arrived, escalating the tension. This one mentioned the children's names and birth order and asked if they had discovered what was in the walls yet. The Watcher also stated that they would know soon. The family took some time to settle into the new home. They resided with Maria's mother as they started renovations. The Watcher was not happy with their absence. 657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all of the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement, or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream," the Watcher wrote. Despite their initial excitement, the Broadduses were now gripped by fear. They installed security cameras and delayed moving in while the police investigation continued. However, the letters kept coming, each one more unsettling than the last. The Watcher seemed to have an intimate knowledge of the house's layout and the family's movements. The letters spoke of the house as if it were a living entity, referring to it as "my friend" and lamenting changes made by previous owners. The Watcher seemed obsessed with maintaining the home's history and warned the Broadduses against any renovations. "The house is crying from all of the pain it is going through. You have changed it and made it so fancy. You are stealing its history. It cries for the past, and what used to be in the time when I roamed, its halls. The 1960s were a good time for 657 Boulevard, when I ran from room to room imagining the life with the rich occupants there. The house was full of life and young blood. Then it got old and so did my father. But he kept watching until the day he died. and now I watch and wait for the day when the young blood will be mine again. The mystery took its toll on the family. Unable to move in and fearing for their safety, the Broadduses put the house back on the market. However, the stigma of the Watcher's letters made selling it difficult. Potential buyers were scared off by the creepy story, and the family faced significant financial losses. As the story gained national attention, theories about the Watcher's identity abounded. Some speculated it was a disgruntled neighbor, others thought it could be a prank, or even the work of someone with a deep, historical connection to the house. The police continued their investigation, but the Watcher's identity remained elusive. In a desperate bid to escape the nightmare, the Broadduses filed a lawsuit against the previous owners, claiming they knew about the Watcher but failed to disclose it. However, this legal battle only added to their stress and brought no resolution to their plight. Years passed, and the Broadduses eventually found renters willing to live at 657 Boulevard, albeit with a clause allowing them to break the lease if another letter arrived. True to form, another letter did come, mocking the family's attempts to escape the Watcher's gaze. "You wonder who the Watcher is? Turn around, idiots," the letter read. "Maybe you even spoke to me, one of the so-called neighbors who has no idea who the Watcher could be. Or maybe you do know and are too scared to tell anyone. Good move." The Watcher House remains one of modern America's most chilling, unsolved mysteries. It stands as a reminder of how an idyllic dream can turn into a haunting nightmare. The Broaddus family, once eager to call 657 Boulevard their home, have since moved on. But the legend of the Watcher continues to cast a long, dark shadow over the house and the community of Westfield.